Welcome all, stand up, please. Sorry about the slightly late start. Our marvellous receptionist, Francis, the Venerable Francis, is not very well. Bring your feet together, hands to the heart. Tadasana Namaskara. Spread the toes if you want, feet close if possible, apart if necessary, and if they're apart they should be level. Raise the arms up from the hip joints, tone up the tummy from the pubis, find the pelvic floor, release the roots of the neck, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft, tongue soft. Press down to the feet, lift up to the fingers on the inhale. On the exhale, bend ankles, knees and hips, and lean forwards from the hip joints, moving up, down, left, right, as you need to. You can turn the heels of the hands out if you want. You can bring the arms back towards the neck if you want. You can pulse the arms, pulse the legs. You can even turn left or right. And probably unlikely, but as the pose is called Utkatta, I should say you can even squat if you want. And finally, ascending all the way, hands to the hips, step the feet apart. Take 3 or 4 deep breaths with the jaw soft, with the eyes soft, with the frontal lobe relaxed. Left toes in, front foot and leg out, turning on the ball of the foot, finishing off the turn on the heel. We're going this direction. Stretch the arms. Inhale, exhale. Uttita Trikonasana. It's a hamstring stretch straight away, so feel the back of the leg coming in to support the front of the leg. Take deep breaths with soft eyes and a soft jaw and a soft throat. And let those breaths be expressive of the release into the day, just as the sunlight releases into the day. Let yourself release into this day, into this space, here and now. Inhaling, coming up calmly. Hands to hips, feet facing forwards. Deep breaths, let them flow. Back toes in, front foot and leg out on the ball of the foot. Finish off the turn on the heel. Have a check with your eyes. I don't know what else you'd check with if you had some sort of gauge, but check that your heel lines up with your arch. Then raise the arms up, lift the chest up, inhale, exhale. Back of the leg towards the front of the leg so that the soft tissue of the superficial fascia draws in towards the myofascia. And because it's made, or holds, I should say, the fat cells, the superficial fascia, which is super close to the skin, as it draws in, fills in, you can imagine it fills in little gaps and troughs and spaces and valleys in the muscle area, and softly comes to support it like a hug. Breath is everything. It's a catchphrase, and it's true. Not all catchphrases are true, but that one is. Come down to Adho Mukha Svanasana. Externally rotate your back heel, step your front foot back, pad your paws into a deep weave with the yoga mat through repetition. Move the pelvis if you find it useful, left and right. Bend, extend. Get some energy going through, loving energy, going through the back, going through the lower back, opening up the armpits, inner, outer, under. Inner is, we sometimes call armpit chest. Outer corresponds to the little finger side of the hand, and under is the side of the armpit closest to the legs that moves towards the legs and pulls on the far ends of the inner armpit and outer armpit, extending them further, the ends that are closest to the thighs. Inner groins up, back thighs in. Everything soft, meditative in attitude. Bring your shoulders forwards so that they hover above the wrists. Play it out so that your wrists are allowed time to welcome the sensation of stretch. Breathe through your nose. Touch the floor tantalizingly lightly with your knees. So light, it's tantalizing because you could almost give your weight, but we're not going to give our weight. We're going to lift up one knee and keep one down. Keep calm if you like. Bring that down, lift the other up. Both up. Knees forwards. Sitting, kneeling, putting a block between the heels and buttocks if your knees are tight, and a rolled up blanket underneath your front ankles if your front ankles are tight. One hand on top of the other. Breathing through your nose. Jaw soft, throat soft, tongue soft. You could roll if you want. It obviously helps to hydrate the myofascia on the front of the legs. The eyes are super soft. The shoulder blades drop down. The chest is buoyant. It floats. And like something that's positively buoyant in the sea, like a buoy, for example, even if it goes down for a moment, it always floats back up. It's sort of inevitable. It can't help itself. And of course, the rule of buoyancy in the water is it displaces more weight of water than it weighs itself. So there's a lightness to the chest. Release your hands, stretch out your legs. Sit on a block if you need to. Turn towards the midline of the room if you're not already, and obviously that doesn't apply if you're at home. You can be any direction you like at home. If you've once drawing the buttock flesh out and back, if you can't feel your lower back drawing in and up, then sit on a block. If you're not sure if your lower back's drawing in and up, it almost certainly isn't, so sit on a block. Okay. Once you've sat on the block, if you are sitting on the block, draw the buttock flesh out and back again. Come to the inner front edge of the sitting bones. Draw the hands back level to your hips. And stretch your chest. Good, beautiful. And lift your chest and soften your eyes. It's a beautiful, soft morning. Here at the Brighton Buddhist Centre, we can see pink clouds above us if we look through the glass atrium. And there's a softness to those clouds that we want to mirror in our mind's attitudes. So softness makes the instructions explorative rather than orders. They're explorative. So you want to explore lifting, moving left, moving right, moving forwards. Obviously, movement's going to help hydrate the myofascia of the hamstrings on the back of the legs. And the hamstring myofascia, as it loosens, allows the pelvis a little bit more freedom. And as the pelvis gets more freedom, the front hip points, the anterior superior iliac spine, the front hip points, might just be able to come further forwards, bringing the pelvis to the upright, allowing us to have a lumbar lordosis, a natural lumbar curve. Lift up from there. Crown of the head lifts. It's as if the core of the body lifted and the superficial body sloughs off relative to that core lifting. Don't hold the breath, let it flow. Core of the body lifting and the superficial body, soft tissue, sloughs away relative, like you're pushing up through the crown of your head. And the more you push up, the more the body sloughs off. You can broaden your feet like they're softly smiling. Very gentle, don't hold the breath to do it. Like they're softly smiling. Beautiful. Okay, ease out of that. Remove the block, lay on your back. Pop your hands underneath your head as if you're on holiday. Some people are on holiday. Some people are on holiday in Brighton. Hands underneath the head, interlace fingers, taking breath. I should say breaths, plural. As you feel your scapula, your shoulder blades pressed into the back body, feel the chest widen. Lift up your feet, feel the lower back, more intimate with the floor. Just give yourself moments to melt, melting moments, as you feel the lower back melting into the floor. Lift up your head. Again, you can feel the lower back, the thoracolumbar fascia melting into the floor. Keep the jaw soft, eyes soft, brain soft, throat soft. Feel the lower back melting into the floor. Gently extend one leg, not all the way at first, but just a little extension, keeping the lower back close to the floor, and then retract it. Do the same with the other leg. Not all the way, but just a little way. Keep the lower back close to the floor, and then retract it. Go back to the first leg, extend it a little further, keep the lower back close to the floor, and then retract it. Do the same with the second, keep the lower back close to the floor, and then retract it. And finally, full extension on the first leg, keeping the lower back close to the floor, and then retract it. Full extension on the second leg, keeping the lower back close to the floor, and then retract it. Head down, toes touching the floor, but nothing else, just toes, and then head up. Once your head is lifted, take breaths, plural, with the jaw soft, and then take yourself to your toe tips, and finally float the toes so that the legs draw towards the elbows. Some people even like to lift the pelvis as well. Obviously, this means the abdominals are really working, which you might be able to hear in the slight trembling of my voice. The elbows the hands can move if you want, so that the elbows might point further forwards. You might have your hands closer to the crown of the head. Release slowly, head first, feet second, and then it's a deep breath. A really deep breath in, followed by the classic really deep breath out, followed by the predictable really deep breath in, etc. So there's a flow of breaths that we're surrendered to completely. A flow of breaths that we're surrendered to completely. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Lift up your feet again. Open the angle at the back of the knees to something like 90 degrees. The soles of the feet as if they're touching a wall. Lift your head. Turning towards the shrine side of the room. I'm turning away from it, but you turn towards it as you bring opposite knee and opposite elbow towards each other. Your hands can slide around the back of the head. And then you return and go the other way. Same thing. One more time on each side when you're ready. Beautiful. And last one, last side. Return to center. Head down, feet down. Everyone takes a deep breath. Sigh like exhale. Let there be a few of those. Yeah, like that. Just let it happen. Let it happen. Like there's a sense of yes. When we use the word Om in the Sanskrit, it means I agree. What are we agreeing to? The fundamental or the sort of substratum level of reality, which is interdependent. We know that we're interdependent with each other. We can feel each other. We can sense each other. We know that we're interdependent with the whole Earth's atmosphere. It's how we breathe. We know our bodies are interdependent with the crops and plants that grow on the Earth, and that those are interdependent with the sun. And the sun is interdependent with every other star and planet in the Milky Way galaxy, and the Milky Way galaxy is interdependent with every other galaxy in the universe. Release your hands from under your head. Stretch your arms towards your bum and hold your mat firmly. Turn your arms out in the sockets and bring your heels very close to your bottom. Tone your tummy in a wave so it draws in and the chest lifts up. And then you lift your bum up off the floor, holding onto the mat. You got it. You can bounce, you can shake, you can sway, you can tilt. It's good to make sure your lower back doesn't hold any tension. So shaking the pelvis, bouncing the pelvis, swooping the pelvis where it drops and then regains more integrity. And all of these are useful. You don't have to think about what anyone else is doing. Just feel it. What feels right in terms of flow is what we're looking for. Some people, after a while, feel really loose in the lower back and want to lift higher. If that's the case, for you, or becomes the case for you, turn the arms out more, but still hold the mat. So then the chin and chest come towards each other. It's still important to make sure the lower back doesn't tighten up, so you can still drop it and shake it and sway it. The chest should be open. The tummy is toned. There's a sensitization to the pelvic floor. We become sensitized to the pelvic floor. Good job. Come down slow, 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 slow. Walk your feet away from the bum. Take a deep breath in with a deep breath out. And let it be followed by a set of deep breaths that we are surrendered to. We say that we give ourselves to the goddess, the Devi. And the goddess has many, many different forms, but the interesting thing about her different forms, whether it be Matangi or Kali or Lakshmi or Bhuvaneshwari, is that all her different forms represent one of her powers. And what is she? She's the interdependent field at the substratum, our fundamental reality. And it's that we give to. So she has the power to immediately stop obsessive thinking, which we see in the power of Bagalamukhi. We also see in the power of Kali. Immediately, like switches it off, because obsessive thinking is about separating things. And the experience of her, if you want to call interdependence her, is it just immediately stops us grasping. Now roll over onto your side when you're ready, facing towards the shrine, and bend the leg you're laying on. So you're bending the leg you're laying in. So to get to the field, to get to the goddess, you use any rich sensation. So in modern postural yoga, we use our bodily sensations. 90 degrees, extend the psoas, which is a beautiful muscle to feel into because it really itself has such interdependence. It brings the lower and upper and pelvis together. So as you lift, you feel extension and landing and extension and landing. The muscle itself, to be able to be stretchy, has to be soft. And for the muscle to be soft, we don't want to bring anything that would make it hard, like trying, struggle, wanting, and craving, yearning, efforting. The practice is all about bliss at the end of the day. Once the leg has landed, it might not yet, sort of permanently or semi-permanently, the tummy draws in. Push down, lift and turn, and bring yourself to your elbows, forearms and wrists. And take breaths with the jaw soft. And you might want to move left and right, massaging in to the thoracolumbar fascia, which again is the fascia immediately above the top of the pelvis. In fact, you could say that it penetrates in to the top of the pelvis if you include the superficial fascia. And you can feel that lower back, middle back. If you move left and right, you can really get into it. And if you combine that with toning your tummy, sucking your tummy in and pulling it forward, that can feel pretty good. The eyes are soft, the brain is soft, the throat is soft. Top leg on top of the bottom leg. Curl up from the side, pushing with your hands. Round to the other side, still facing the same way. Bending the other leg, lifting and extending several times. Seeing and feeling for yourself the obvious correlation and actual causation between attitude, mental attitude, emotional attitude, and physical pliancy. You could say compliancy. Com obviously has a prefix that used to be a prefix anyway, that means with, same as the Sanskrit sam. So compliant. Muscle means compliant attitude when you're moving it. And that's an attitude that allows that softness of tissue, so that every time you lift If you can at least keep that melted mental state while lifting, you'll be able to just extend a little bit more softly, get a bit more length, and then you'll be able to land it. And every time you land it, it kind of locks in the progress you made. Eventually, suck in the tum, push down, lift, and turn. Elbows, forearms, wrists. Breathing through your nose with soft eyes, soft jaw, soft brain, soft throat. So I'm just listing things and saying soft in front of them now, so you can put anything you want behind the word soft. Soft tongue. Great. Top leg on top of the bottom leg. Curl up. Nice and easy. From the side, we're going to sit on a block. Sit on a block. With our legs extended forwards. And then we're going to bring our legs over to this side. Both of them together. I should say you can sit on 2 blocks if it doesn't feel like there's enough room for your legs, but you'll need another block behind you if you do sit on 2. And you might need another block behind you anyway. Sometimes it's useful. We're in Bharadvajasana, so we've got this part of the foot on this part of the foot. And we've got a gap between the legs, and we're going to lift and shift, and the naughty leg does this, and the good leg does this. Spot the difference? Naughty, good. Okay, it doesn't lift. So lift and turn away from your feet. Make sure you don't have a naughty leg. Breathe through your nose with soft eyes, soft jaw. And the buttocks need to be soft as well. Breathing through your nose. So the buttocks need to be soft as well. So in a conversation I had, and it's the kind of conversation only yoga teachers really have, with 4 other people the other day. 3 of them said that they get very tight buttocks all the time, and it's a sort of sign of anticipation. And one of them said that they don't get tight buttocks, but they get a tight jaw. And of course, many of us get both. And you don't always realize that you're gripping in the buttocks at all. But if you bring your attention there and your breath, attention to your breath at the same time, your breath will immediately mirror if there's any tension by itself becoming more shallow and tense. And if that tension releases, then the breath will release as well. And that's the same for anywhere in the body, the buttocks, the thighs, the knee capsule. Okay, turn back to the front, stretch your legs out, good job. Give your legs a bit of a jolly good rub down, jolly good. Feet, buttocks, arms, and then legs over to the other side. It's one of the things that people, when you go traveling, people always think British people say jolly all the time. Jolly good. And what's the other thing they always say to you? They always say something. Lift and land. Breathe through your nose. And then lift without a naughty leg and turn. Good. Jolly good. Oh, they also think you say lovely jubbly a lot. I find you go to different places on holiday and people say, oh, you're from England, lovely jubbly. So we should start saying it more so that people aren't wrong. So we're going to lift and turn, we're going to release the back leg. We're going to raise the chest until we feel lovely jubbly. Soft eyes, soft buttocks again. So that's important to really feel the correlation between the buttocks and the breath. which we, directly, they don't even mirror each other. They sort of are part of the same thing, because everything is everything, It's like if somebody is tense and they walk in a room, the other people feel tense too, right? If somebody's relaxed and very chilled and they walk in the room, lots of the other people feel relaxed and chilled as well. Everything's interdependent. So if your buttocks are relaxed, your breath will be relaxed. If your breath is relaxed, your buttocks will be relaxed. And for the buttocks to be relaxed, the mind has to be relaxed, because they're all the same thing. And this is the great joy. This is how we enter back into, as it were, the arms of the goddess. You take 2 steps to her, she takes 10 towards you. She's the field of interdependence as an experience, not as a concept. Everyone agrees on the concept. Physicists agree on it. Any biologists agree on it. Everything's interdependent. Astrophysicists agree on it. But it's not the agreement in terms of the intellect, but the direct experience that the yogin is seeking. And they find it through a simple process of experiencing something that is rich. And actually everything is ultimately rich, whether it's looking at a flower or looking at sparkles on the water or drinking a coffee. But here it's this pose, the sensations of this pose. They're rich in the hip, in the buttock, in the knee, in the back. And then finally breathing into that richness. That's how you cross over into her arms. That's how you experience her liberative powers, including the power of just stopping. And that is to say, stopping obsessive thought. Okay, returning to center, and we shall dismount. So come off our blocks, in other words. We're coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana again, but this time we're going to bring our hands together like that, like they are themselves the rising sun, beautiful rising sun that we're experiencing here at the BBC, Brighton Buddhist Centre. And then lift up, take your feet apart, and jaw soft, and extend energy through the middle of the pose. Extend energy through the middle of the pose. Balance it across the wrists so movement might help. So very wide feet, very narrow hands. Balancing through movement and encouraging more flow as well through that same movement. Jaw, brain, throat, tongue, soft. Now, one at a time, take your hands apart and level them up so the fingers face forward. Spend a bit of time on each hand, really stretching it. So the aponeurosis, that is to say the connective tissue that covers the hands and the soles of the feet and the lower back and the belly, that is stretched. And then walk your feet a little closer to each other. They're not right next to each other, but they're fairly close. So that when you raise the leg that's closest to me up, you've got balance. You can bend and extend the raised leg. You can externally rotate the whole body and the leg if you want. Internally rotate it, externally rotate it. You can play if you want with the heel of the standing leg, lifting it very high or descending it. So a combination of ways to play into this stretch. But do play into it. Don't tolerate it, but play into it. It's a little different. When ready, with the knee bent and the leg and torso turned back forwards, sweep the foot forwards into the place of its own, hand on the exhalation. It might take 2 or 3 steps, that's totally fine. Play with it back and forwards. Experiment with it in your own way. Do anything that works for you. For example, I just hopped my back foot up. I've not noticed myself do that before, but there it was. So there's a degree of spontaneity. The back knee comes down behind the pelvis. You might bring it down and up again several times, looking for the right spot in terms of the stretch of the groin, looking for the right spot in terms of the comfort of the bursa, the fluid sacs in the knee. When you're ready, climb up onto your front knee. Feel the stretch of the groin and give to the stretch, and that will take pressure off the back knee. If you feel the stretch of the groin, top of the inner thigh, and you give to it and follow it through with the arms, give to it. Imagine it happening. The stretch is turning into a release. It's not just stretch. It's saying yes to the stretch with everything that you have, everything that you are. Not just stretch, but saying yes to the stretch with everything that you are. Coming back down, cool, calm, collected. Lift the back knee, step your front foot back, and take breaths. Similarly, with the feet not too far apart, raise up the other leg. And in the same way, bend, extend, externally rotate, internally rotate. You can really lift the heel if you want. Keep the arms extended, the armpits open. Many ways in which you can play to hydrate this myofascia. Very enjoyable, I think, but I hope you enjoy it too. Internally rotate, bend the knee, come forwards on the exhalation, and play backwards, forwards, up and down. The knee lifts, it lands, it turns. Maybe even the foot jumps. It's intuitive, pratibha, intuitive. So you play until you feel ready, or you land and perhaps re-land a few times the back knee until it's positioned just right, with the jaw soft. And finally, when you're ready, climb up on the front knee. Tone the tummy. You can always reposition your back knee if you need to come back down to your hands, and you just, sometimes a tiny adjustment makes a big difference. But remember, you're going to take the pressure off the knee by not just stretching the groin, not just stretching from the inner thigh through to the pubis, but giving to that stretch as you raise your arms up. Beautiful. Jaw soft. Giving to the stretch as you raise the arms up. Roots of the neck soft, eyes soft, brain soft. Giving to the stretch. Okay, wonderful. Wunderbar, I think they say in Germany. When you're ready, sweep back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Breathe through your nose. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Take the hand that's furthest away from me and place it in the space between the two hands. So look at where the two hands are, put the hand that's furthest away from me in that space, and then turn your whole body towards me and rest on the side of your foot. You can use your other hand to support yourself. Bring your other leg back behind you and slowly open up in a move that I think is worthy of any dance floor, with your finger pointing up, disco style. Go on, give us a, disco finger. Good job. Breathe easy, bend and extend, play it out. So there's lots of opportunity for intuition. And then sweep back round to your Adho Mukha Svanasana. Well done. Keep calm, cool, collected, etc. And then the other hand goes into the midline of the two hands. And now you know what you're doing. You're probably feeling very excited in anticipation. You turn on the side of your foot, top leg back, raise your arm, breathe through your nose, disco finger, brain relaxed, if you like. You don't have to relax the brain. It can be hypertensive if you prefer. And then come back down to your Adho Mukha Svanasana, your downward facing dog. Armpits open, brain relaxed, jaw soft. We're coming all the way down, and you're probably thinking, when is it treat time? Well, it's nearly treat time. And what is treat time? It's blanket time. So we're going to sit, before we come into treat time, blanket time, we're going to sit in Vajrasana with a block between the heels and buttocks, or two, or a rolled up blanket underneath the front ankles. I'm just going to catch up with our breaths, let the shoulders soften, palms face up. Here at the Buddhist Centre, the sun has just risen over the buildings and is now entering into the Martika, as I call it. Martika means little shrine or little monastery, actually. Martika. Marta is a monastery. Martika, little monastery. So that's quite nice. Breathe easy, cool, calm, collected. Okay, treat time. Put a blanket down on your mat. I wouldn't trust me if I were you. Put a blanket down on your mat. And then you're going to lay on that, but put blocks ahead of you as well. So you're going to lay down on your tummy in a minute, but there needs to be blocks. Let's say purple blocks. Let's use purple blocks. One day I'll get sponsored by that company that sells houses, and then I'll be rich beyond my wildest dreams. Purple bricks. I'm practicing already advertising for them. And I actually did sell my last flat through Purple Bricks. They were very good. I'm not sponsored by them yet, but I'm just pitching in case anyone from Purple Bricks is listening. Stretch your tummy, good. And just get some length. And it's treat time. You're on a blanket. It's like proper morning treat. And then stretch your legs back as well. I presume people at home who are Zooming this class have blankets, if not towels. And if you don't have towels, what? Of course you've got towels. Everyone's got towels. Stretch the legs back. Okay, now the blocks. Let's be generous and kind. Let's put them on their second highest height, like that, ahead of us. And stretch and stretch and stretch a little bit more. So when you're stretching forwards by keeping the pubis on the floor and pulling back with the forearms. And when you're stretching back the other way, you're lifting the legs. So you're stretching in two directions of the same muscle. The lower end of the psoas, top of the inner thigh, and the upper end, the deep belly. And we want to really extend because it makes a huge difference to how we feel when we extend our arms forwards to the blocks. You know, I quite like to do a wheelie with my blocks, so you might or might not. In other words, I like to pull the upper end towards me a little bit. And then I find I can use that angle to help me stretch forwards the torso towards the blocks. Turn the legs down so that they're not turning in, the heels aren't turning in, and lift the legs a little bit off the floor. The heels are not turning in, the eyes are soft. Jaw is soft, brain is soft, throat is soft, tongue is soft in the mouth. Imagine that there was a channel that ran from the pelvic floor immediately in front of the spine all the way through the neck, and then that channel continued through the head and out of the crown of the head. Really try and imagine that channel is about the same sort of space that you find in the aperture in a water plant, like a reed or a lotus. And it runs all the way along, like a stalk, a water plant stalk. And you want to feel your way into that channel and look for space all the way in every part of it. If any part feels like it's not open, take your attention there. And notice how attitude and openness are absolutely entwined. Come down slowly, well down. One hand on top of the other. Rest your head on your hands and take deep breaths. Lots and lots and lots of deep breaths. Let the buttocks release away from each other. With the jaw soft, with the eyes soft. The brain soft. Tuck the toes under and then press one leg at a time, the heel back, and the leg itself will lift up. Use that moment when it lifts to stretch it back, and do it several times. So as the heel stretches back, the leg lifts up, you stretch the leg back. Then come up to your elbows, forearms and wrists. Stretch your tummy forwards again. Stretch it several times. Stretch it lots of times. Now this time, you can keep the blocks at that height, or, depends how you're feeling, you could take them yay high. So up to you. I think you'll be all right with them going higher. I think you'll enjoy it. Stretch your tummy, stretch your tummy, stretch your tummy. Stretch to your blocks. Again, you might find a little wheelie is useful. And we're going to raise the legs as well. Still attentive to that central channel. Breathing through the nose. Jaw, passive eyes, passive brain, passive throat, passive tongue, passive. So everything that can be soft is soft. Beautiful. Okay. Come down slowly, one hand on top of the other. Rest your head. Huff and puff. Be expressive about it, because that pose was deep, right? It imprints quite deep. So when something's made an impression on you, we can use the different expressions that we find in the Indian tradition, such as you can use a thorn to remove a thorn, or talking about a carpenter who might use a fine peg to remove a coarse peg. We're talking about the sensation of richness and intensity pushing in and therefore pushing out the habituation in the body mind. And this is how we purify the nerves. Nadi Shodhana. Come back up to your elbows and forearms again. But this time, you don't need your blocks. So you can even do that if you want. You don't have to, but I just couldn't resist it. It was quite enjoyable. Go on, Ollie, you can do it. Go on, Ollie. Go on, you got to do it now. Yay. Well, it's quite satisfying, isn't it? It's a shame there aren't lots and lots and lots of them in a row. And you could have dominoes, but maybe another time, next week. Stretch, 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 stretch the legs back too. Stretch the tummy, arms back behind you like a superhero in flight. Don't squeeze the buttocks together. They are going to squeeze, but don't squeeze them together. And then raise the legs and take hold of one and then the other, or both together if you want. And option, it's enough just to hold the legs, but there's the option as well to lift up if you want. Jaw soft, good, good. Breathing easy. Even if you can just hold one leg, do one at a time. Get one leg, get one foot. One at a time is enough. Yeah, you got it, Ollie. You got it. And you spend a bit of time with one, and then you'll move to the other. If you're taking one at a time, you'll spend a bit of time with one and then move to the other. Back of the body towards the front of the body up. Back of the body towards the front of the body up. Well done, everyone. Down you come. One hand on top of the other, head on your hands. Let me hear you take those deep breaths I know you want. Take quite a lot of them. Let the buttocks release away from each other, which is selfless, isn't it? Nobody does that. So we're, as yogis, we're always looking out for selflessness, because ultimately particularities are part of a field. So we can't grasp particular things and say, they're mine, they're myself. Huh? What ultimately is ourselves is not something that's part of everything, unless you say yourself is everything, literally everything. From squirrels in the park to pulsars in the Milky Way galaxy or other galaxies. Great, okay. With luck on our side, we'll be able to roll over. That's it. Oh, you did it. Take a moment, catch your breath. Jaw soft, eyes soft. Well done. Just have a cozy moment. So make it cozy. Make your pose cozy. Make it posy. Cozy pose. And then curl up from the side. Well done. We're going to sit in Siddhasana if you can. So Siddhasana is on a block. If you've got a brick block, they're ideal. But if Siddhasana is not comfortable for you, you can sit in a kneeling position on blocks. The most important thing is that your spine is upright and tall. And you draw the butterfly shout back. So this is Siddhasana. You can use a blanket under your knees like that, or another blanket. Good, that's looking good, Ollie. It's coming on, that. I like it. Let's give you another blanket, because I deserve a reward for this lovely Siddhasana of the morning. All your Siddhasanas are very nice, but Ollie's is the loveliest. I think we have to agree on that. It's lovely, Ollie. That's you. Daryl, that's not fair. You got the sun on your face. Oh, look at Daryl. This looks lovely. Okay. Chest lifted. Breathing through your nose. So we're going to bring energy into the heart chakra. We're going to do that by what's called breathing and rebreathing. It's the foundation or the basis for practices like Viloma. So breathing and rebreathing is where you take a bit of the in-breath, don't breathe out, then take a bit more of the in-breath, don't breathe out. And often we're told to do that twice, breathe and then rebreathe. I often do it a few times, a bit like blowing up a balloon. You know, when you're blowing up a balloon at kids' parties, you put a bit in, you put a bit more in. So you're blowing up, as it were, or bringing energy into the heart center. Once you've done that, once you've blown up the balloon, so it's like, and there's energy in the heart center. And then we're going to massage the heart center like this. I'll mirror. You should be doing your right arm first. I'll do my left, so it's a mirror. And the idea is, as you move your arm, you're massaging that energy that you're holding as you hold your breath. And then you do the other arm, obviously, same thing. And then finally you do the chest again. You're still holding your breath during all of this, right? I can't hold my breath and talk to you at the same time. So we often do, when I do the practice, I do 5 of each thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, let's do 3, so that you know. Otherwise, you might pop. So when you're ready, breathe and rebreathe into the heart center. And then right arm first. And breathing out. And taking a few deep breaths after that. So we're generating, the words tell us that we're generating the life force which extends the lifespan and opens the heart chakra. So we can do that again. So breathe and rebreathe. Maybe rebreathe again. Right arm first. And deep breaths. we're told that this clears thoughts and ignites the heat or the fire of wisdom. And it causes, we're told, the attainment, it brings about the attainment of the spontaneously perfected body of completion. This is what the texts tell us. And so we say to ourselves, from my heart, I praise the life force, space, element, wind. So we're going to do it one more time, praising the life force, space, element, wind. When you're ready, inhaling several times. And then breathing naturally. We're told in the text to sit in Rigpa, which is a Tibetan word, which pretty much correlates with the Sanskrit word vidya, which is a word that can mean mantras associated with the goddess. They're called vidyas. And it also means knowledge. So the knowledge is the non-dual knowledge, that is, the knowing that is open, the knowing that is not full of prejudgment. So we can say the knowing that is empty. And so we say it's the knowing that's in the middle. We're going to lay ourselves flat on the back. Palms facing up and almost certainly a blanket on top. And it's going to be eyes closed, jaw soft. Palms facing up, shoulder blades scooted under. Everything that can be soft is soft. There's a release of the complete weight of the whole body. The arms, the legs, the head. The body releases completely to gravity. Body releases completely to the breath. Feel into the body as if it was something brand new, something interesting, something interdependent with everything else, so that the movements you make with your toes and your ankles and your fingers and your wrists are almost as if they're interconnected with everything via strings. And so movements of your body move the very fabric of space-time. Everything moves when anything moves. You can bend your legs when you're ready. Scoot the buttocks under. Let the lower back rest in the breath. And roll over. If you're in the room here, away from the shrine side of the room. If you're at home, roll to your left. Knees drawn up, tummy soft. Then roll to your other side when you're ready. Let yourself come round, slow and easy. You might rub your eyes, you might stretch out an arm or a leg. And when you finally feel ready to come up, you bring yourself up from the side. If you agree with the following statement, when I've agreed with it, by saying Om, you can too if you want. May the merit gained in our acting thus go to the alleviation of the suffering of all beings. Om. Thanks, gang. Thanks, Rumors. Thank you very much. Thanks, Zoomers. Thanks for your time. Be happy and well. Oh, I've got sun on my face. Nice. Love you all.